All right, everyone. Just going to ask you to confirm that you can hear me. So if you'll just type into the chat box. Great. Okay, so it looks like our audio is good. So then let's go ahead and get going. So I'll start by introducing myself, and then we'll go ahead and jump into today's class. So my name is Josh Brown. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist by training, uh, but that's actually kind of what I do part-time. So what I do most here at the Weight Management Center is directing the telehealth or the virtual initiatives that we have here. So thinking about things like video visits and virtual classes and some of the stuff that we do that enables us to, basically track patients when they are not in the clinic, those types of things. And so that's what this class is focused on. I'm planning to give an overview of the different virtual services that we offer, as well as answer some questions and give you some tips and tricks for how to use some of these features that we now offer here at the Weight Management Center. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in. And so just by, yeah, there is no video, Julia, sorry. So I've got a lot of stuff that I'm going to be showing you on my desktop. And so I wanted to be able to maximize how much room we've got to show some of those things. And so I'm not going to be sharing video today. Just by a show of hands, you can just say yes to this. But for which of you is this the first time you've attended the virtual class? So if this is your first time attending this virtual class, just type in yes. Curious, I actually recognize a few of your names from some of the previous classes. So I don't see anyone typing, so we may have pros here. You guys have joined us for some of our virtual classes before. Okay, well, great. Well, good to have you back. Okay, so let me go ahead and switch over. Now, I will say, before I do that, let me point out one thing on this page. So you should be able to see in the bottom left-hand corner of this screen a link to, it's actually a folder that we have online that has all of the handouts for all of these virtual classes, and they're arranged by topic. So if you're on a computer right now, you can click on that link and it will open up in a separate browser window and you can access all of those handouts. If you're on a mobile device, and I see that looks like two of you are, you're not going to be able to click that link. Now, you should still be able to see it. And what you're going to need to do is probably your best bet is just to jot it down. And make sure you jot it down exactly as it's written. So it is a case-sensitive URL. And then once you've got a chance, or if you're at a computer too, you can type that into any web browser and it should open up just fine. And so again, you can download, save, print, view all of the handouts associated with each one of the virtual classes. I think we've got probably 40 or so different topics at this point that are archived in there. Okay, so now let me go ahead and cut over to, I'm just going to quickly bounce on this screen here. For those of you who are on a computer, you'll see a files box down in the bottom right-hand corner, and you can download that file that you see there. I'll give you just a few seconds to do that. So you just double-click it and download it, save it, print it. Again, this is in that cloud-based folder that I just went over, so you can always access it there at a later time. And those of you on mobile devices, that's where you'll need to go to get it. Okay, so typically this is the sort of the home screen, home base, if you will, for these virtual classes. But given how much stuff I'm hoping to be able to share with you from my screen, we're actually going to use a different landing page. So again, I'm going to give just a couple more seconds for those of you who may want to download that handout, so you go ahead and grab it, and then we'll bounce over to a different screen. Okay. All right, so let me get my screen share ready. Okay, so everyone should see at this point the PowerPoint presentation that I'm getting ready to go over. So right now it's just showing the title slide. So again, I'm going to give an overview of the various virtual services that we offer here. And then I'm also going to dig in and give you some specific answers to questions that have been submitted about some of these services, as well as some tips and tricks for how to use some of these services, how to make the most of them, or make the most efficient use of them. And again, type in questions as we go. Or actually, what you're going to need to do is to simply raise your hand, and then I can come back and take a look and see what kind of questions you might need to ask, and you'll have to chat those in. But when we are on a screen share here, you don't have a place to real easily chat in questions. And so I'll periodically stop and ask for questions and get caught up, and then we'll resume. Okay, so let me go ahead and get started here. So again, here in the beginning, I'm going to give an overview of the virtual services or virtual programming that we're currently offering. And then I'm also going to touch on a couple things that are right around the corner in terms of offerings. So video visits, we've been offering those since technically since the spring of 2016, but we didn't really make a push with video visits until I would say early 2017. So we've been offering video visits for about a year now. Virtual classes, about that same amount of time, a little bit over a year, we've been offering virtual classes. And then also we've got an On-Trac program, which is a combination of a connected bathroom scale and our Health Trac tracking system. And if you're not familiar with these, I'm going to go over these in just a moment. Some of you may already be using the On-Trac program, which is great. And then I'm also going to just very quickly touch on virtual groups, and then just mention our maintenance programs, which are currently, we currently offer maintenance programs, but we're in the process of modifying those to take advantage of some of the virtual offerings that we now have. Really to kind of make it easier for patients to stay engaged once they've completed their initial program, and just be able to be with patients and help them into the future much easier than we've been able to, when we were limited to in-person services. Okay, so what is a video visit? Now, some of you may know this, but we actually sent out a survey a couple weeks ago asking or telling patients that we were going to be offering this particular class to go over some of the virtual services or the technology-based services that we offer. And we asked for people to submit questions or tell us things that maybe they're having difficulty with, or let us know if they've got interest in some of these things. And so several folks said, hey, we don't know what video visits are. Tell us more about them. So basically, these are real-time visits with your provider. They're one-on-one visits. So unlike the class that we're doing now, this would be you and your provider. And you can have this real-time visit without actually having to come into the clinic. So you could be on your phone or on your computer, you could be at home, you could be at work, you could be basically anywhere in the world that you've got access to the internet and have a real-time one-on-one visit with your provider. And so the way it works is that you would log in through your MyWake Health account. So most of you probably use MyWake Health. That's that MyChart app that you've probably got installed on your mobile device. But you would log in to your MyWake Health account, and then the providers, the providers would log into our side of the Wake One system, and then we would meet in the middle. We would have a video visit within My Wake Health. And again, these are real-time visits. You can see, you can hear each other. And so these are really nice for being able to, much easier have your visit, and in many cases, your weekly visits with your provider without having to jump up and leave work or having to, make sure you've got someone at home with your kids or, any number of things that could pose obstacles to actually getting here to the clinic. And then, of course, we've got our virtual class. I think it's safe to assume that everyone in attendance today knows about our virtual class, given that's where we are. And again, you can join these from computer, from your mobile device. And again, we've got a couple folks on mobile device and then others on the computer. And I thought this was a really, thinking about the increase in efficiency associated with being able to offer video visits and virtual classes. So what's being shown here is how much time, how much commute time is saved in a single Optifast program. So I don't know which of our programs you all are in, but we've got a few different programs. Essentials is one, Optifast is another, which is a 52-week program, and you come in nearly every week. If we calculate how much commute time is required over the course of that year, based on what we know to be the average commute time for our patients, it saves 99 hours of commute time and the equivalent of roughly 222 gallons of gas at about $500. So you could drive clear from Winston-Salem to Seattle, down to San Francisco, to Denver, to Dallas, and then back to Winston-Salem. That's how much commute time is saved by availing yourself of all of the virtual opportunities that exist now. So tremendous time savings, obviously. Okay, so let me do this. Let me pause for a moment, and I'm going to get back to a screen where you've got a chat window, and I'm just going to ask if there are questions or thoughts up to this point about video visits, about virtual classes, about anything I've said up to this point. And if you want, you can just type in to let me know that you could see all of that correctly. Because when I go to the screen share page on my side, I'm a little bit blinded to what you guys can see and what you might be typing in. Okay, so thanks, Paula. I'm glad you can see and hear everything okay. And Stacy, I am going to touch on, and I don't know if you're the person who submitted it or not, but a couple folks submitted questions or issues that they've had with video visits. So I'm going to touch on just some very basic things related to video visits, but we may end up having to communicate one-on-one to figure out exactly what's going on with your browser. So one thing I will say, and I'm going to say it now before I forget it later, is that there are only 3 browsers that work with video visits. So if you're using a computer, then you're going to have to log in through one of those 3 browsers, and they are Internet Explorer, not Edge, so not the newer version of Microsoft's browser, but Internet Explorer, Chrome. So Google Chrome should also now work. Initially, it did not, but it now does. And then Safari, if you're on a Mac. So those are the only 3 browsers that will work for video visits. Now, that being said, I will say that video visits are much, much simpler, at least in most cases, if you do them from mobile devices. You don't have the browser issue on a mobile device, so you would simply log into your MyChart app that you've got installed on your mobile device, and then go into your account and you'll see the visit there, which was a video visit, and then you click on that and you meet up in the virtual room with the provider. So are there additional charges for video visits? So that's a good question, a great question. And the answer to that is basically that it depends on which program you're doing and which what your insurance company is. So what I will say is that if you're doing Essentials, the Essentials program, and you do not have MedCost insurance, okay, so if you do not have MedCost insurance, then there is a charge for that. So we can't bill for telemedicine-based services. So we can't bill insurance for these video visits. So what you would have to do is that would be an out-of-pocket expense, and it's $50 for a video visit. Now, the thing you'll want to consider if you are in fact Essentials and do not have MedCost insurance, you would want to take a look and see what your copay is. So I know in some cases, patients, their copay is actually more than that $50, that $50 out-of-pocket fee would be. So then you end up, saving a little bit of money, and you certainly save a lot of time and convenience from not having to drop whatever you're doing and come into the clinic for a visit. So, but if you have MedCost insurance, like all the Wake Forest employees do, and I would say most significant others of Wake Forest employees, then you can do video visits at no additional cost. If you're doing the Optifast program, regardless of what your insurance is, you should also be able to do video visits at no additional cost. Okay, is that clear as mud? I've answered that question more than a couple times, so hopefully it's clearer to you all than it was to me when I initially had to figure out how to respond to that question. Okay. All right, perfect. And one of these days, I will say, one of these days, we will be able to get all insurers on the same page in terms of being able to bill for and have them reimburse for virtual services. We're just not there yet, especially in this state. It varies by state a lot, but North Carolina, we've still got a good ways to go in terms of lobbying for better coverage of telemedicine-based services. Okay, any other quick questions before I hop back over to the screen share? No? Okay, perfect. Then let me hop back over here. All right, so let me get my screen shared out again. All right, so you should now be able to see a slide that has OnTrac down in the bottom left-hand corner. So let's go on. So our OnTrac program, again, as I stated at the beginning of this, is a combination of a connected bathroom scale and a Health Trac, our Health Trac monitoring system. So you can sort of think about it at Health Trac anyway as our own version of MyFitnessPal. Okay, so let me give you a little more detail here. So there's the scale. The brand is Body Trace, so it's Body Trace scale. And then there's just a screenshot of what Health Trac looks like, at least if you're using it on a computer. And for those of you who may already be using Health Trac, you're probably using the app, and the app does look a little bit different. And I'm hoping to be able to show my phone to you here in just a bit, and I can show you what things look like there. Okay, so you can also link any number of activity tracking devices to your Health Trac account. So essentially what we can do through this OnTrac program is we can We can see what your weights are. So you get on your scale each morning, and those weights that you're getting will go into your Health Trac account, so you can track them there. Um, you can link a Fitbit device or a Garmin device, or you can link an Apple Watch, and data from those devices will come into your Health Trac account, showing how many steps you're getting, how many exercise minutes, sleep, and things like that. And then we can, as providers, we can also log in through our secure portal, and we can see exactly what you're doing. So what does your weight look like each morning? How many steps are you getting each day? What are you consuming? We can see all those details, which is really the big sell for the Health Trac program. Now let me go over just a bit more detail as far as why we chose Body Trace and Health Trac. So one of the huge selling points of the Body Trace scale is not only the capacity, so it does go up to 440 pounds. So anyone 440 pounds or less can use it without problem. But the biggest selling feature is the fact that it is GSM based. So what that means is it effectively has a cell phone chip inside of it. So what that means for you is that you can take that scale in the box, take it home, take it out of the box, set it on the floor, and start using it. There is absolutely no setup that's required. So, you know, if you've ever used the Fitbit Aria scale or Garmin scale or Withings scales, some of those connected scales, you probably know that for those, you have to connect them via Wi-Fi or connect them via Bluetooth. And I can tell you, having provided quite a few tech support calls with patients in the past, trying to get those set up and keep them connected, it can be a pain at times. So the Body Trace scale is just easy. It just works right out of the box, at least for the most part. And now I'm going to go over a few issues that sometimes patients have and how to remedy those. And then Health Trac. So again, the screenshot you're seeing here is the online portal, but there is an app, Health Trac app, so you can use it on your mobile device. It's got a full set of features. So you can sync weight from your scale. You can sync weight from any of these activity tracking devices. You can track your food and beverage intake as well as other metrics. And you can see on the screenshot here, some of those other metrics include sleep hours, how much water you're consuming. There's a journal function, and you can track goals and those sorts of things. And then again, you know, one of the really nice things about this system is that we as providers can log in at any time and see exactly what you're doing. We can, you know, reach out to help you if it looks like you need help. If you've got a question about something, you know, instead of you having to be here in person and showing us on your phone, we can log in remotely and see exactly what's going on. So really nice set of features. And this is just an illustration of essentially how the system works. So you've got, you know, your scale, you've got an activity tracking device that feeds data into the system. You're also putting, you know, information about what you're consuming and other types of data that you might be tracking, and then all that feeds up to us. So not only can you track it, but we can track it as well. Okay, so let me stop again and get back to a screen where you've got a chat box. Okay, Julie, I see that you have raised your hand, indicating that you've got some sort of question, but I want to open the floor to everybody. So what kind of questions might you all have at this point about our OnTrack program? And I see Mildred's asking a question, or at least typing something. Okay, so another good question. So how can you participate with the OnTrack program? So really, all you need to do is to come into the nutrition shop. And you can purchase the on-track program. So the cost, I'm trying to remember the cost. I want to say it's 125. We initially, when we first rolled it out, we had a bit of a discounted price, but I think the price we settled on is 125. And what that gets you is the scale, and then it also gets you access to the Health Trac system. And so you would come into the nutrition shop and make payment for that. And then at that time, whoever's working in the nutrition shop would give you a scale, would help you get signed up, get registered for the Health Trac, your Health Trac account, and you would leave the nutrition shop fully ready to go. If you're in a program, and I don't know if you're actively in a program, I assume so, but if you're actively in a program, then our providers would, of course, be able to monitor all the data that you're putting into the system. There shouldn't be any issue, Julia, in terms of a knee replacement. Um, you know, and actually, I would say, having any kind of, I'm thinking implanted electrical devices, obviously the knee replacement wouldn't fit that bill, but there shouldn't be any problem with the scale, regardless of, if you've got a joint that's been replaced, or even if you've got an implanted electrical device. It does not measure body composition. So unlike the Fitbit scale, which gives you your weight, and it also gives you, it uses bioelectrical impedance to measure body fat. This scale doesn't do that, so it's not sending any kind of electrical signal through any part of your body. So there wouldn't be any issue there. So Robert, I don't have a Kindle, and I'm not terribly familiar with those devices. If I'm not mistaken, they still use the Google Play Store. I think you install Google-based apps. In assuming that's the case, you should be able to find Health Trac in the App Store that you're able to access. Now, I may be inaccurate with that statement, but if you can install Google Apps, then you would, or Android apps, I should say, then you should be able to find and install the Health Trac app. Okay, any other questions? And I see Robert's still typing. No, Julia, so you don't have to be active in either one of those. You know, Obviously, if you're not active in one of our programs, then there isn't someone on this end who's doing any kind of monitoring of you, at least at this point. Now, again, I mentioned earlier that we are in the process of tweaking our maintenance programs that would include a continuous monitoring component where you graduate from essentials and you're out there doing your thing, maintaining your weight loss or maybe continuing to lose some weight, and we would actively monitor you on some sort of regular schedule. That's in the very near future, probably looking at sometime in the summer for rolling that out, but that's currently not in place. But again, that said, you certainly could still sign up for the On-Track program and start using the scale and using the Health Trac system for monitoring stuff on your own. Absolutely. There, it's hard to get much easier than being able to step on your scale and have that weight automatically come in, and the Health Trac system itself has some really nice features that make it efficient. And I'm going to go over some of that in just a bit. But yeah, there's nothing to prevent you from signing up and using it. Okay, so I don't see anybody typing, so I'm going to hop back over and resume sharing my screen. Hopefully no one's getting dizzy with all this back and forth. Okay, and that's actually the first word you should see. It's okay. So let me answer some questions. So again, we sent out a survey a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and solicited questions or feedback or thoughts, things that people wanted us to go over during this class. And so there were a few submissions. And so I'm going to first touch on those, and I have no real good way of knowing whether or not anyone who submitted these questions are actually in attendance today. but we're going to answer them anyway. So video visits, how do I set this up? It's really easy. So really all you have to do, assuming you're actively in a program with us, or at least having some visits on some sort of occasion with us, is ask the schedulers to schedule you for video visits. You probably would want to ask a slightly more specific question, which is, can I have this upcoming visit, the one I'm being scheduled for, scheduled as a video visit? And the reason I say that is because not every single visit can be scheduled as a video visit. So for instance, if you're having your body composition tested, well, clearly we need you here to do that. If for some of the medical visits, when they need you here in person, then clearly you wouldn't be able to do a video visit. But between 70 and 75% of all the Essentials and Optifast visits can be done virtually, can be done via video visit. So if this is something you'd be interested in, then certainly next time you have occasion to be scheduled for an appointment, ask if that can be scheduled for a video visit. And then we've got instructions here. We've actually got little glossy handouts that we can give you that have instructions about how you actually log in to the video visit, both from mobile devices and from computers. And then we also have that same information on our website. And I can, given we're doing a lot of sharing today, let me see if I can quickly share that website with you. I'll show you where it is anyway on our website. And so if I go to our website here, and you can just go to the main page, I just clicked on the medical weight management side. So if you come to our main page, this column here is going to be zipped up. So just click on medical weight management, and then click on virtual services. Okay, and then that takes us here. And then if I scroll down about halfway down the page, there's a video visits section, and then a frequently asked questions related to video visits. And so if I open that, as I just did, we've got a handout here that starts on page 2 with some frequently asked questions. And then pages 3 and 4 have login instructions for, again, both mobile devices and computers. Okay, so that's how you get there. Again, we also have handouts that you can grab when you're getting scheduled. Virtual classes. So there was one question that came in related to virtual classes, so what you guys are doing right now. So clearly, you all know how to get logged in. How do I log in on my phone and obtain handouts? So for those of you who were here at the very beginning, I did make a couple comments about this. So if you're logging in on a computer, it's very, very easy. All you have to do is you can double click and download the handout that's been uploaded into the Adobe Connect room, or you can click on that link that we have in the lobby, that first page you come to when you log in, and then that takes you to a Google Drive folder that sits in the cloud that has all the handouts for all of the classes by topic. And so you can access all the handouts that way. If you're coming in through the app, then you have to go about it in a slightly different way. You would have to type in that URL for the Google Drive folder, and then once you type that in, then you've got the same access. Now, in terms of logging in through the app, again, clearly you guys have mastered that because you're here today, or at least a couple of you have come in through the app. But all you have to do is download the Adobe Connect app. So you've got to install that on your phone, and then the first time you join this class, you would either have to type in the URL for the class, which is in the instruction page that we've got that's floating about, or you can, I'm not sure exactly how you guys have gotten the login instructions, but we do have a handout that has a clickable link in it. And so if you've got access to that, all you have to do is once you've downloaded the Adobe Connect app, click on that link, and then it will ask you, do you want to join via browser or through the Adobe Connect app? And you just tell it through the app, and then it will go on into the room. Then subsequent classes, you don't have to type it in again because it saves your recent classes, the recent URLs, and all you have to do is click it and say go. So that's really all there is to it. And then I added a sort of third part to the answer here, which is, and we know that not everybody knows this, but we record each one of these virtual classes. And what we do with those recordings afterwards is we post them to YouTube. So we've got a YouTube playlist where we've accumulated, at this point, we've got between 40 and 50 recorded virtual classes. So you can go there at any point. You can sort through the topics and view the classes that you may have missed that you would benefit from attending. Okay, so again, as I've been doing, let me hop back over and see if there are any questions about anything I've said over the past 5 minutes or so. Any questions about how to get scheduled for video visits, or how to use the Adobe Connect system to get into this virtual class? Okay, so I don't see anyone typing, so then we're going to jump back into some tips and some tricks. I'm sorry, I do have one more page of questions to answer. Sorry, I'm excited to show you guys the tips and tricks clearly. Okay, so there was a question that came in about the scale. Why can't I see my weights in the Health Trac app? And this could be for a variety of reasons. And by the way, this doesn't happen very often, but occasionally we'll have a patient who says, I'm getting on my scale, but my weights aren't showing up in the Health Trac app. And the most basic reason why this isn't happening is because the scale ID, so the actual ID of the scale, hasn't been associated with your Health Trac account. That typically, again, doesn't happen because we try to do all this at one time in the nutrition shop when you get signed up for the OnTrack program, or when you start either the Essentials program or the Optifast program. But occasionally it'll get missed or get misentered, which probably happens more than it getting missed. So if that ID gets put in with one digit being wrong, then it isn't able to associate those weights with your account. There can be other issues that crop up on an individual basis, and if you ever have trouble with your scale bringing in, or Health Trac bringing in weights from your scale, just reach out to us, and we should be able to very quickly problem solve that. Someone did ask, can the Withing scale be used? And the answer to that is yes, as well as the Fitbit Aria scale, and I think there are 2 versions of that now, both work, as well as the Garmin scales. All those can be associated with your Health Trac account. And then a question came up about how can I access daily summaries of nutritional values. And so let me show you these 2 things here in just a moment, and I'll also show you what the best way is to navigate between days. So give me just a minute here. Let me wake up my phone here. All right, so I'm just bringing my phone onto the screen here, so everyone should see my screen here. So let me go ahead and go into the Health Trac app, and let me go ahead and also apologize in advance for anything that may come through on my phone, any notifications that may come through. All right, so how can I access, let me scooch this over, how can I access daily summaries of nutritional values? Okay, so the page you're seeing now is the dashboard. So you can actually customize what you want to show on the dashboard. So I click edit there at the top, and then it shows me everything that I can have on my dashboard. You can also rearrange the order of these things. So you can unclick anything that you don't want on that dashboard. Okay, but this is just the default. So I'm going to go ahead and click on calories consumed, this section here. And then it takes me here and it shows me what I have consumed. And this is all made up data at this point. But it shows me that I have consumed 1,040 calories, and it shows me the macronutrient breakdown of those calories. Okay, now it defaults to the 1-day view. Okay, but I can also click on the week view here, and it will zoom out essentially and show me what my calorie intake has looked like over the course of the week. And you can see I actually haven't been recording prior to yesterday. And then you can zoom out even further to 2 weeks or 1 month or 3 months, and you can see that information there. And let me show you one more thing here. So if I go back to that page that shows the macronutrient breakdown, and I click on the section down at the bottom, it will actually take you to a more detailed page that shows you, okay, of the carbohydrates, where are those coming from? And so you can see that 48 grams of the carbohydrates that are indicated for that day are coming from what's called lunch 1, which is just an item that I have in my food diary. And then you can scroll down and see where your protein's coming from and where the fat's coming from, saturated fat, etc. Now, in terms of what's the best way to navigate, I like to use the calendar function. And so if you need to go back, let's say we want to go back to the 20th, then you would click on track. And then we'll give it a second to load here. And then that pulls up this calendar. And so I can say, okay, and get rid of that notification. Now, I warned you. If that's the worst thing that pops up, then we're in good shape. So if I want to go back to the 20th, I simply click on the 20th. And then I can go into the planner at that point, and it's on the 20th. And then I can add stuff here and look at the nutrition information, do whatever you want to at that point. Okay, so let me get that out of the way. We'll come back to it. And let me hop over here for questions again. Then I want to show you some tips and tricks in the last 15 minutes or so, 10 or so minutes. Okay, so questions. What questions might you have covering or on anything that we've covered in the last 5 minutes? Yeah, Julia, it's, I will tell you, and I didn't say this earlier, but there is not one perfect system out there in terms of recording this type of information. There are other good systems out there. MyFitnessPal is a good one. Lose It is a good one. There are some other pretty good ones. But at the end of the day, when you look at the functionality and the features, this Health Trac system is far and away better than the competitors. And especially when we factor in, the fact that we want to be able to help you. We want to be able to access your information so that we can help you. And not just during the program, during the initial program, but long term. That's what we're looking to do. And Health Trac is far and away better than any other system out there for being able to do that. You're welcome, Pam. So Stacey asks, what is calories? Okay, good question. So, and actually, most people probably didn't catch this, but we actually recently renamed what had been called calories consumed, and that's what it was showing up as on that screenshot, one of those screenshots I showed you. But we changed it to calories manual. And what that is a place for patients to report the calories consumed that they might be tracking in a different system. So we have a few folks who, regardless of how hard we've tried to convert them to Health Trac, they want to continue using some other system for tracking their food and beverage intake. So MyFitnessPal or Lose It or whatnot. And so we put um, that cell in there, that metric in there, so that patients could at least tell us how many calories they consumed using that other system. So there's a nice way to set that up to make it very efficient for reporting. So they can basically, at the end of the day, they can look in MyFitnessPal and they can see how many calories they consumed, and then they can report that into Health Trac. So that way, when we as providers log in to Health Trac, we can see your weight there, we can see your activity there, and we can also see at least your calories, which you're actually technically tracking in a different system, but we can see the calories, the big picture in Health Trac. Okay, so how do you reset your password? Let me actually take a quick look. The easiest way, well, let me throw this out here. So there's my email address. If I can reset passwords for you, so I won't spend time looking for where a password reset is right now. I thought there was one. If it's not there, then I can certainly work to get that fixed. But in the meantime, just shoot me an email and tell me you need to reset your password, and I can do that for you. So Julia, I think if I'm not mistaken, the cost is $125. I think that's what it is. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Okay, so let me hop back over, and I'm going to show you some more advanced uses of Health Trac, because that's where most people have questions. Not as much with the scale or with video visits, but how do I do this or that, or can you show me some ways to more efficiently use the Health Trac system? Okay, so one question that often comes up is how do I modify my calorie goal? Okay, so I'm going to show you that now. Let me get to a more recent date. Now, one of the things I'll show you, and I'm going to show you a couple things. Let me just say this. So some of you may, in fact, be pre-recording, so putting stuff in your food diary in advance. So you may have some stuff that you put in there for tomorrow, and there are a lot of reasons why that's a really good thing to do. But in terms of setting your calorie goal, you can't change it for any dates in the future that have food already entered in them. Okay, so me, for example, I think I've got some stuff that's in here through, I want to say through March 29th. Okay, so through the 28th. So I'm going to get to a date that doesn't have any food entered into it. So you can see it's completely blank here. And then all I have to do is click on this 1500. A box will pop up, and I'm just going to change it to 1200 and hit update. And then that changes it for that day, but also into the future. Okay, so going forward, again, assuming there are no foods or beverages entered, it will change that default calorie goal to whatever you've set it at. Okay, and you can change the calorie goal in both the app and through the online portal. Okay, so let me move on to something else that oftentimes comes up. Let me get my phone back here. Okay, so there are several ways that you can add food or beverages to your planner. Okay, so I'm going to click on Plan, and again, I'm already there, but just to show you where it is down here at the bottom, click on Plan. And then now, let me get back to today, just so this isn't confusing. What is today? The 27th. And it says today. So let me go in, and I'm going to add an example for lunch, and I'm hoping my phone's not going to die on me here. I see it circling here. Give me just a minute. let me get back in here. I'm doing a lot of sharing here. Maybe 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 running into a bandwidth issue. So I'm connected to Wi-Fi here. Okay, so let me get back to plan. Okay, so here we are today. So I'm going to click on Add Food under Lunch. So you would enter food under either breakfast or lunch or dinner or snacks. Okay, and so it takes me to this screen here, and it always defaults to this recent section. Okay, so that's going to show you anything that you've entered recently in alphabetical order, not the date you entered it. Now, in many cases, that is going to work perfectly fine, but you've also got 4 other ways that you can enter foods. You can click on All Foods, in which case it's going to search the main database within Health Trac, and I forget how many tens of thousands of foods there are there. You can also click on Favorites, which will search through anything you've saved or created as a favorite. There's also a recommended section. Okay, so if anybody is using any of the products that we sell out of our nutrition shops, we have preloaded all of those food items there. And so you can see everything is in there. All the Optifast product, Quest bars, Undri stuff, all that stuff is already in there. And you know the data, the nutrition information is right because we put it in. And then you also have a barcode scanning functionality. Okay, so you can simply scan a barcode on a packaged food item, and it will pull up that nutrition information. Now, to add a food, all you have to do is click on it and tell it where you want it to go, how many servings you had. You can even set up a text reminder if you're planning your eating ahead and you tend to forget. You get busy at work and you forget to have that snack at 3 p.m. You can set a reminder to come to yourself. You can also add it as a favorite if it's not already there and if it's something you have frequently. And then to confirm to add, you just click on that checkbox at the top, and then it will come in to your food diary here. There it is, and it updates the nutrition information. Okay, moving on. Now, one of the really nice things that you can do with the Health Trac system to make things more efficient in terms of entering foods is you can combine single line entries into favorites. And so let me show you what I mean there. Okay, so now this you can only set up through the online portal. Okay, you can't set this up in the app, but you can use these favorites in the app. Okay, so let me get, so I'm on, what is today? Okay, so let me do this. I'm trying to figure out a good day to use. One that's got multiple entries. Hopefully we've got multiple entries on the 26th here. Okay, we'll make this work. Okay, so what you can do is click Create Favorite Foods, scroll down, and then click on Combine Favorites. And what you'll notice is checkboxes appear to the left of all of these entries that are currently, and again, I'm running into a bandwidth issue, so let me click it again. So checkboxes pop up. And so what you can do, and let's imagine, and this, again, this is all made up, so don't judge by having donuts in here. But if you had, let's say you had a dinner that had 7 items in there, you could check each one of those 7 items to combine it as one single entry. And so I'm going to click on, okay, there it is. So I'm going to name it. We'll just say sample dinner. I'm going to tell it that it's a PM meal, and we're going to say it requires medium prep, and then we're going to click save. And again, I'm just combining 2 things here now, but that could be any number of items that I've just combined. And there it is. So sample dinner is now a favorite. And so instead of adding all 7 of those items, I can click on sample dinner and add it as a single entry. Okay, so it makes it very, very easy, and the total nutrition for all 7 of those individual items is combined into one entry. Okay, so that makes a really, really efficient way of getting data into the system. All right, let me get rid of this for the moment. My plan templates, we've only got a couple minutes left, so hopefully I can show you this real quickly. So one of the really nice things that you can do is, let's say you have, you've recorded a day's worth of eating that is perfect for you. And if you could just do that every single day, then you'd be set. Let's also imagine that you don't like to have to enter foods item by item every single day. What you can do is you can apply what's called a My Plan to the future. Okay, so let's say you've got a My Plan. Let me see what mine are titled so I can use specific names here. So I've got 3 here. So morning template, sample plan, staff test. Let's just take the sample plan, okay, and I'm going to say, okay, I want you to apply that for the 30th of March through April 3rd. Actually, hold on one second. Forgot you have to do these one at a time. So you set the from date, and then we're going to set the to date. Okay, so it's telling it load sample plan for March 30th through April 3rd. We're going to hit load plan, and then it's going to bring in, let me click over to the March 30th, and there it is. So there's my sample plan that's been loaded into each one of those days. Now, you can start with that template, and then if on the actual day, you end up doing something that's a little bit different. So let's say that I don't have this morning oatmeal on the 31st. I had something different. All I got to do is click on it, and let's see here. Actually, it may not let me do it given that this is a date in the future. Let me get back to today. I think that's what's happening. Again, it's a little sluggish just because of all the sharing and stuff I've got pulled up here. So this is, in fact, a template. And so let me click on one of the items here, and you can see now that there is an entry for a number of servings. So what you would actually do is you would change that to 0, 0, 0. It's hard to do with a mouse. Let me actually do it on the phone. Well, doesn't look like it wants to let me. Okay, and I think I was telling you wrong anyway. So if you long press an item, then it will let you delete. Okay, so you can't really see me do it here, but I'm long pressing that particular item, and then click OK, and it will take it out. Now, if let's say you had a half a cup instead of a full cup, then you would actually go into the item like I did, and you would change the servings, okay, from 1 to half. Okay, so let me zip back over here to wrap up class. Those are what I would say are some of the better, more advanced features and functions of the system that really, I think, separate it from all the other systems out there. There are some things you can do to really make it efficient to record and keep track of things. So let me stop for any questions. Okay, so I see Robert typing. Anyone else got any questions? And then we'll say I had a pretty ambitious agenda, so I had several things that I wanted to overview with you and several things I wanted to be able to demo. And we got through the bulk of it. There were only one or two other things that I had thought about showing you. Okay, so Stacy, you're saying my calories consumed doesn't match the graph that pops up for each day. Let me look at that individually. So if you'll shoot me an email, I can take a closer look. I'd have to dig in and see why that might not be matching up. Julia, you're very welcome. I'm glad you liked what you saw and heard. Oh, you're welcome, Kathy, or Kathy too. Thanks, Gwen, and you're welcome. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, I appreciate you guys attending, and certainly if there are a few of you who do have lingering questions, just hang out. But otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap up class. Yes, Robert, you can back enter your weight. So just do it. You can enter it manually in Health Trac. Just put it in that way, and that way you'll have your entire weight history. Okay, perfect. Well, it looks like we're good. Okay, so hang tight. I'm going to officially end the class, and that will redirect you to the attendance survey.